Before I get to today's video, I want to invite you to join our new Facebook group. It's a group of smart, passionate people who want to win an election and make a profound difference in their community, city, state, or country. Candidates who come together to share ideas on what's working for them and how they've overcome challenges that are inherent to putting a campaign together. Every day we have robust discussions. I do a live masterclass at least once a week, in addition to posting videos for candidates who are running this year or plan to run for office someday. Come join the discussion. You'll find the link on or near the screen you are using to watch this video. The title of today's presentation is When You're Running for Office, the First Thing You Gotta Do Is. The reason I'm talking about it is that there are many candidates who are new to politics, new to running for office, and naturally they're looking for help anywhere they can get it. But sometimes the advice you get from friends and family isn't always good advice, even though it's well-intentioned. And through my many years of working on campaigns, I've had candidates share with me some of the advice they received that was just plain wrong. Today we're going to talk about some of the things they were told, and some things you may have been told, and why bad advice can be very costly. In addition, I'll explain what you should do first in a political campaign if you want to get it off to a good start. As we go through this, feel free to leave your comments and questions. And if you're watching this on a replay, go ahead and post your questions anyway. I'll be checking the comments going forward and will respond to any question you leave. To help illustrate what I'm about to share, I'll start with a story about a high school classmate I once had. His dream was to own a BMW. That was a big deal in the community where I was raised, a small town in the rural Midwest where most were farmers and everybody knew somebody who worked with their hands. He had a pretty good job, and when he was 35, he decided that a BMW would be his birthday present. Being the cheap guy he was, he didn't want to pay for a new one. The one he bought had almost 100,000 miles on it. Being the cheap guy he was, he didn't want to buy a warranty. Shortly after he bought it, he started hearing a strange noise coming from under the hood. And being the cheap guy he was, he did not take it to a mechanic. Instead, he talked to a few friends and neighbors, and of course they all had ideas and suggestions on what he should do. And because 2 of the 8 he talked to said it might be the timing belt, he decided since 2 of the 8 people he'd talked to said the same thing, the problem had to be the timing belt. And being the cheap guy he was, he didn't want to pay anybody to fix the car for him, so he went to the auto store and spent several $100s on a new timing chain kit and a couple $100 more on the tools he needed to install it. He spent an entire day replacing the timing belt. After he'd finished the work, he hopped into the car and turned the key. The car wouldn't start. In fact, the engine wouldn't even turn over. So there it sat in his driveway, idle, motionless, collecting dust, while my friend continued to make car payments on a car he could not use. 2 months went by, and my friend finally decided he was going to have to talk to someone who knew more about a BMW than he did. He called a mechanic, scheduled an appointment, and paid a tow truck to take it in so the mechanic could look at it. The next day, the mechanic called and said, "Your car is fixed." And of course, my friend wanted to know what he'd done wrong when he tried to fix the timing belt. "You didn't need a new timing belt. The old one was fine," he said. "You needed a new spark plug, which I could have done for $45 if you'd come to me first." As you begin your journey as a candidate for office, you'll be very tempted to seek the advice of friends, colleagues, neighbors, and others you know. There is one pitfall in doing it that way. They may be well-meaning and sincere in their desire to help you, but the trouble with asking friends who've never done it before is that they've never done it before. I've worked with many candidates who've shared with me the advice they've received from friends, parents, aunts, uncles, and even cousins. Here are a few of the things they have been told. Number 1, the first thing you got to do is get your message out. All well and good if you have a compelling and coherent message, but that suggestion is a road to disaster if you don't. I've seen that play, and it's a flop. A few years ago, there was talk in New York of a young Kennedy running for the United States Senate. Her name was frequently mentioned in the newspapers, and she sought the advice of several friends, many of whom told her to get your message out. The only problem was she had not given much thought to what her message should be. She granted an interview to a television reporter, and when asked why she wanted the job, she didn't have an answer. "I just want to serve," she said, "and do what's right for the people in New York. You see, our family's always believed in public service, and that's why I'm running. And I just want to make sure we do the right thing for the people in this state." The interview quickly ended her campaign. Number 2, the first thing you got to do is announce your candidacy. All well and good if you have something to say about what you hope to accomplish and what you're going to do for the people you represent. But if you've not given any thought to that, if you've not spent serious time putting together your rationale, your reason for running, your announcement will be a speech about nothing, which is what you'll get out of it. Number 3, the first thing you got to do is get your website done. Great idea. Once you have a good photo file, once you have vetted and scrubbed your official biography, and come up with at least 3 concrete ideas on what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Until that time, messing with a website is a silly waste of time. Number 4, the first thing you got to do is get on social media. Using social media to advance a political campaign is a great idea. Doing it without a coherent rollout plan, a compelling message, and strategic targeting is like getting in a car and driving somewhere without knowing where you're going. You'll waste a lot of time, money, and accomplish nothing. Number 5, the first thing you got to do is attack your opponent. Nope. If you go after someone without first offering people a reason to vote for you, you will have a very bad day in the court of public opinion. What is the first thing you have to do? Think of the iPhone. Apple created a product before they did anything else. They created a product that people would want to buy, an amazing product that improved the quality of life for a lot of people. Think of the platform, your rationale, your reasons for running, what you're going to do for the jurisdiction you hope to represent as your product. Before you do anything else, create something that people would want to support. Once Apple had developed the iPhone, they designed their marketing plan, their packaging, their slogan, and began advertising it to people that Apple thought were most likely to buy it. Think of your campaign the same way. And once you've developed your message, then design your advertising strategy and target the people most likely to vote for you. Once Apple had finished designing its marketing plan, Steve Jobs did several speeches explaining the why of what Apple had done, empowering those who bought it by saving them time, money, energy, and exercising more control over their daily lives with a device that lived in their fingers. Think of your story as your why. That should be at the heart of your announcement speech and a key component of every speech that you give. How do you come up with a platform, a rationale, an agenda that will make people want to vote for you? Ask yourself some questions. Number 1, what are you passionate about? If you could wave a magic wand and fix 3 problems in the jurisdiction where you live, what would they be? Too few jobs? Too few parks? Too many taxes? Too many kids who can't afford college? Too many people leaving and moving to other places? Too many people going without good health care? Number 2, if you could do 3 things that would improve the quality of life in your jurisdiction, what would they be? Cleaner streets, less crime, more police, nicer parks, better schools? Number 3, what wrongs would you right? Too many government officials doing the public's business behind closed doors? Lack of transparency in government? Too many lobbyists writing the zoning laws? Is there corruption that needs to be stopped? Kids not receiving the education they should? Empty storefronts in deserted downtowns because taxes are too high? Number 4, what injustices would you correct? Are there people in your jurisdiction not getting quality health care? Teachers not earning what they should? Developers who are running roughshod over zoning rules? Abandoned homes falling into disrepair that ruin the housing values of other people? Number 5, is there a threat you want to mitigate? An evil that you want to conquer? A villain that you want to vanquish? Once you have some ideas on paper, then review your work, Pick the 3 that you think will have the most appeal to the voters you need to win. Then figure out how you're actually going to do the things that are on your list. During your campaign, you'll be asked that question. How are you going to do the things you propose to do? If you don't have an answer, you will have a bad day. That is what you do in a political campaign before you do anything else. I thank you for listening. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that we've started a new Facebook group for candidates who are running this year or plan to soon. It's a place where you can get help with your campaign, get quick answers to any question you have, so that you can win an election and advance a worthy cause. Come join the discussion. You'll find a hot link on the screen or right below the screen, depending on the device you are using to watch this video.